What's up, everyone? Welcome to Touchdown Texas, Episode 2. We are following a Horns win 52 to nothing, an absolute blowout of Colorado State. I'm your host, Shivam Patel, and I have Nick Rodriguez. He is my co-host. Nick, the season is back. Football is here, and what a dominating win, man. How you doing?
Great, man. I mean, first great win of the season. A little slow start, but completely normal to start the first game of the regular season and beat them like you should. We're 1-0. We beat up Colorado State, and let's talk about it. Let's get into it. That was fantastic.
It definitely was. And before we talk about it, just a couple quick announcements. Ladies and gentlemen, be sure to follow us at touchdown_Texas on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. And next
And
week is
TikTok.
the big.
We also have TikTok now.
Oh, and TikTok. Thank you, Nick. And TikTok. And be sure to also tune in next week. Me and Nick are going to be live for the big Michigan game, September 7th. We want to shout out the Atlanta Texas Exes Chapter. They're going to be doing a watch party from Red Pepper Taqueria in Atlanta, and me and Nick are going to be live there. So we definitely look forward to meeting you all and pull up. It's going to be a great time, Nick.
Yeah, we're super excited. I mean, the last two we've done semi-virtual. This is virtual, and then the last one was at the place with no fans and anything. But next week we're pumped. I mean, obviously we got a game. We're playing the Wolverines. They got a great team. They just won the chip. We're ready. I think it's gonna be an awesome game, and we're gonna have some fans there for the live show, so it's gonna be a good time for sure.
Yep, definitely looking forward to it. But Nick, let's talk some ball today. Let's talk about the game. Let's talk about QB1 first. Quinn Ewers, he had a big game of 20 for 27, 3 touchdowns. He did have one INT, but overall a very solid performance. And Nick, first of all, give me your grade for Quinn Ewers, and how do you think he played today?
I'm going with the B plus. I think he did what he was supposed to do. The interception, we were texting about it before. We were talking about how he should probably run a little bit, and he kind of got hit and went up and got intercepted. No big deal. That's going to happen. A little sloppy to start the game. I thought the receivers looked extremely explosive, but they're still getting to know each other, right? So we're not even at our full potential yet. I thought he looked good. I thought he looked comfortable. He looked clean. He didn't take too many hits, didn't take too many risks with big plays. Occasionally he let Isaiah Bond a little too far, and even Matthew Golden, but they're new receivers. And overall, I think it's a B plus. We know what Ewers is capable of. He can be even better than that against even better competition. And this is no Colorado to me is no slouch. They went, I think, 5-7 the year before. They had an epic battle with Colorado last year. They're not some knockoff program. They're a good program. They really are. And Ewers wasn't always spectacular. It just took him a minute to adjust, and he did exactly what he's supposed to today.
Exactly. He took care of business. I really loved his pocket presence. And I think he did really well stepping up the pocket, moving in the pocket when he needed to. That first touchdown, he threw an absolute dart. It was an NFL throw. It was an amazing throw to both Bolden and Isaiah Bond, and he just looked comfortable out there. He put a lot of zip on the ball. He was getting the ball out of his hands quickly. He was maneuvering the pocket. He had really good pocket presence today, and I really loved the accuracy he had on his throws, and he looked very comfortable out there. And in college they play no preseason game, so this is technically Ewers' first game, but you can tell he's a third-year starting quarterback, Nick, that looks very comfortable in the skin, and he's been here for two previous years, and he looked like it. He played like a third-year starting quarterback today. And Nick, we watch a lot of college football. Some of those other quarterbacks didn't look that comfortable today, so props to Ewers for having a great day.
He had a good day, and when it's Texas versus Colorado State and it's a 34.5-point spread, your goal obviously is to win and win convincingly, but the second part, come out with no injuries. We did that. No one got hurt. No one got banged up. Came out strong, beat them up. Defense, and I know you want to hit on this later. Defense looks strong. It's one of those games where you just want to look strong. You just want to come out healthy. You want to look dominant. You don't want to look, like, whoa, they almost lost to Colorado State. There was no doubt. We shut them out. Some penalties early on made us a little shaky, but that's normal. Like you said, there's no preseason. Even in practice, you're not allowed to hit the quarterback. So really first live bullets. And I thought he played awesome, and can't wait to see those Wolverines next week.
It's definitely going to be a step up in competition. Wolverines are
Definitely.
one of the best defenses in the country, but hey, Ewers did what he needed to today. And I love Nick's point about Colorado State is not a slouch. They're a great defense. They're hard hitting, as you saw. Just ask Shador Sanders about Colorado State, Nick,
Yeah,
last year.
exactly. Should have
So
beat them.
exactly. So props to Quinn. Overall, great performance and a lot to build on for next week. But Nick, before we leave the quarterback conversation, we can't help but talk about QB2, the famous
Yeah.
Arch Manning. Nick, he got in for his third game of the season. How do you think he played today?
Oh man, I would give him an A minus. I mean, the way he just came in, he first of all, he looks way more comfortable. I think that's the big takeaway from the quarterbacks. Quinn, the quarterbacks just look comfortable with start. We know that's a complicated offense. We know it takes a couple of years for them to really understand the system. Ergo, Quinn Ewers, it took him a couple of years to really get it, and last year he exploded. It looks like Arch is really starting to turn the wheels. Everyone's gonna, say, "Well, they were up 31-0." Yeah, they were, of course. But you have that sick touchdown play where he, tosses it back. He runs one in. I mean, he looked very comfortable. He looked confident. Not that he did in his first series last year, but he obviously that spring training and a whole year under Quinn or behind Quinn, he looks a lot more confident. And QB2, but future QB1 looked good today.
He definitely did, and I love that he has wheels, Nick. Like that play where he faked like he was running. Just what awareness, Mahomes like.
His legs are a threat.
Yes. He's a true dual threat quarterback, and I don't want to hear he was just a 5-star because of his name. No, you could see he's a baller.
He's a beast.
He's a beast. He's developed. He had some serious zip on the ball. Like you could see through the TV. Like that had some mustard on it, Nick. And we're definitely going to need him this year. Knock on wood for Quinn, but we're going to need Arch Manning at some point this year. So the more reps he gets, the better he's going to be. And I like that he also had a rushing touchdown too, QB sneak. So props to Arch Manning, his first 2 touchdowns of his career. There are going to be many more to come, ladies and gentlemen.
Many more to come for sure.
Well, good. So now let's talk about the overall offensive performance, Nick. So they had 545 total yards, 355 passing, and 190 yards running. Talking about the Texas offense. So, Nick, who does the offensive player of the year? Who would you choose? I know there's our offensive player of the game. Who would you choose for this?
Yeah, we were going back and forth on who we were going to pick, and talked about the receivers, and I know you're going to get to them in a second, but I got to go Quinn Ewers. He was the guy leading the way for the charge. He did a good job managing his offense. It's his and Sark's offense. It's his and theirs team. Did a good job. He had the interception, but that was kind of a silly play early in the game. Not a lot of penalties after that. The balls was zipping out. He knew exactly where he wanted to go with the ball. The only thing I would say is, he led his receivers a little too far down the field sometimes. Isaiah Bond, that happened too. I think it happened to Matthew Golden a couple of times, but you're knocking the rust off, and those are 2 new receivers to the program. But Quinn Ewers, man, freaking balled out. Great quarterback. I thought he looked better than Carson Beck from UGA to start the day against, obviously a lot better opponent than Colorado State. But Quinn Ewers did what he had to do, balled out, looked good, not too many errors. I mean, what do you have to complain about with Ewers? Thought he took care of business today.
He really did, and I think he did a really good job of getting the ball to the playmakers. Getting into Bond's hand, getting
Play
into
calling was great.
Yes, Matthew Golden's hand, getting into the running, make sure the running backs knew where they had to go. So I think he did a really good job with that. And it really showed because he's been really working hard this entire offseason with the chemistry with the wide receivers because it's a whole new group of wide receivers. But Nick, they've been looking like they've been playing with each other for 3-4 years. It did not look like he had a brand new wide receivers. And that's all tribute to Quinn Ewers. I love the command that he had with the offense. And he looked like a third-year starting quarterback. He already looks, NFL ready, to me. And this is the game that's going to continue building on. He's going to continue to get comfortable with these wide receivers and in Sark's offense. And the playbook's going to continue to expand, and he's going to have a huge year. So I love that. Quinn Ewers is a great pick.
What about your pick? What are you thinking? I mean, who stood out to you today?
Yeah, so that I think a lot of players actually stood out, first of all. But if I had to choose, it's the wide receivers, and specifically the transfer portal wide receivers, Matthew Golden and Isaiah Bond. They were feeding Isaiah Bond early, and he's the one that chose to come to Texas to play in a Sark's offense because he knew he would be one of the featured players. And Nick, he has some jets. Like he has some burst to him. He can get a catch and run it for break tackles and run for a lot of first downs, a lot of yak yards. And he has really surefire hands. So does Golden. He's a possession receiver, but he's a very dependable wide receiver that can be a great red zone target for Quinn Ewers. He caught that big pass in the end zone, and he can be like a safety blanket for him. So I think our two transfer portal wide receivers really showed up, and Quinn Ewers made sure he featured those wide receivers early and got the ball in their hands so that they would get more acclimated to the offense and get their feet wet.
I mean, absolutely. You want to get those guys comfortable and confident and feeling good, feeling juiced up before we go face off Michigan and tee off against those guys. So, oh man, I mean, first of all, taking the field at DKR and playing the Rams had me so hyped. But even more hyped, I know we always talk about who's going to be our guy this year. My guy's going to be Matthew Golden. I can already tell. I love the two. It looks clean. I love the way he wears his pants. And he's so clean. He's such a good athlete. He fits in so well schematically. Isaiah Bond, I mean, you're right. They fed those guys. And I like how much they threw to the running back. I thought Jaden Blue had a good day. But, no, you got to get them comfortable, right? You don't want them to not feel like they're getting touches and stuff before we play Michigan. You want to be able to get that comfort level going. But you're right. They fed the transfer portal, and it definitely paid off today.
It did. And just I wanted to touch on your Jaden Blue point. I think he looked really – he had some wiggle, Nick. He made some people miss. He got a little nicked up, but I think that was more just of a cramp. He looked all right. I think he's going to be, good. He was running with authority. So was Jared Gibson, the true freshman, and well, I think we're going to be all right in running back, Nick. I actually felt good about the running backs because they can catch it and they can run it. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to give Nick some props. He called Matthew Golden. I know we said in the last episode we watched together at the Texas watch party, the Houston game. It started out well and it was a little rough, and Nick was like, "This dude is cooking us." And then you should have seen, ladies and gentlemen, Nick's reaction when we landed him in the transfer portal. I was with him that day, and his jaw just dropped like he's a Longhorn now. I love it. So
yeah, Golden's gonna be my guy. Worthy was my guy last year. It's got to be Golden. I think I'm a Golden boy. So man, I just love the fit, and he's gonna be awesome. And shout out to the offensive line. I thought we really pushed them back offensively and defensively, and that was huge too.
They opened up lanes in the running game. I think Quinn Ewers only got sacked maybe one time, I know for sure, but I think that was it. But he was clean. So shout out to Kelvin Banks, DJ Campbell on the entire offensive line. What a great performance. So now, Nick, let's move to the other side of the ball. Let's talk about the defense. So first of all, give me your grade of the overall defense, and then give me your MVP of the game.
I'm going A+. I mean, the defense scores. I mean, the offense scores 52 points. The defense have allowed 0. At a certain point, I was going, man. I think when it was 31-0, second half at some point, I'm like, man, it's to me, it's almost more impressive that we're at 0. I know our offense can zip it around. I know we have the best offensive coordinator or play caller in college football, but
100%.
So my guy is PK, the defensive coordinator. Man, I mean, we had guys flying around everywhere. Anthony Hill, we have the guy with the interception. They didn't score. It doesn't matter who we put in. We were disruptive on the line of scrimmage, pushing them, making big plays. I mean, one that sticks out to me, and this is kind of a flashback to me against the Oklahoma game, which you and I watched together. Fake punt and all this stuff. But I think the kid fumbled it or bobbled it before he was going to kick, and the Longhorns swarmed him. You and I both know that has not always been the case with us over the last 5 years. We've been afraid to tackle. Our whole thing is just trying to look cool and whatever. But we need to be mean and feisty and all that. And I thought we were a bully. We were mean. We were aggressive. We were jerks out there, and that's good. And so, props to DK and PK and the whole staff. They looked awesome. Allowing 0 points to anybody is impressive, and that's what it was today.
I'm so glad you said that. Allowing 0 points to anybody is impressive, because the haters will be like, well, it's only Colorado State. Well, they're a Division I team, ladies and gentlemen, and just ask Colorado's defense how they dealt with Colorado State. They struggled.
Exactly. Exactly. Exactly.
And that game was at home too. It was in Colorado. But I love that you picked the overall defense. They were flying around. They were aggressive. I saw Anthony Hill all over the field making aggressive
Yes.
tackles. I saw
Yes.
David Benda make some plays. Vernon Broughton. The cornerbacks, Gavin Holmes had a PBU. Michael Taft. Just Malik Muhammad. Because last year, the struggle was the pass defense, Nick. So I was really focusing on how they were going to defend the pass because Colorado State is an air raid offense, and their wide receiver, Terry Horton, he's going to be an NFL draft pick and a high NFL draft pick, number 14 for those that watched the game. So I love that they were able to have sticky coverage on Horton and really make it tough and bracketed him. So I think that was really very effective. And I really liked how they were swarming to the ball and they were getting deflections. So I think the defense played outstanding, and they were they were the MVP of this game, allowing 0 points. Well, good. So that is the defense, and I also want to give a shout out to Jade Barron, who had the interception, and he looked like one of the best players in the country. Defending the pass. He can play the star, the cornerback position, safety position. So he was all over the field and super aggressive. Yep, number 7, Jade Barron and Isaiah Bond are both number 7. So I loved how he played, as well. All right, Nick. So now let's move on and let's look ahead to the big matchup next week against the Michigan Wolverines at the Big House. So, Nick, what are your early thoughts about that game?
Well, obviously, I think it's going to come down to the line of scrimmage. It's going to be how much can we push them? How much can they push us? And I also think it comes down to how quick Quinn can make decisions and our speedy receivers. I do give us the edge. I think we win 27-20, late touchdown late or something like that. But I feel like it's going to feel more like we control the game. This team, Michigan, we went to Tuscaloosa and beat Bama last year. Let's not forget we did that.
Yeah, that was huge.
It's not as good as that Bama team, right? So we can go beat Michigan at Michigan in Ann Arbor. It's going to come down to the line of scrimmage. How well can we protect Quinn Ewers? How much can we get to their quarterback? I think we can, and I think our receivers are going to be the difference, and we win by a touchdown.
Okay, yeah, so you have it close. I think it's also going to be a close, low-scoring game. So the Michigan defense has 3 first-round picks, the 2 defensive tackles and Will Johnson, the cornerback. So that's going to be that's Michigan's biggest advantage right now in this game. But you saw today, Nick, the Texas offense has weapons that could definitely beat this Michigan defense. They have wide receivers on the outside. They have a dynamic running game. They have an experienced quarterback that's played in big games, like you said, at Alabama. The Big House is another big stage. But I feel very comfortable specifically with the Michigan offense against the Texas defense. Michigan lost Nick's favorite quarterback, as I like to joke, J.J. McCarthy. But then now they have a less experienced quarterback in Alex Orji, who's more of a runner than a thrower. And they do have a really good tight end, but they're breaking in new wide receivers. So in my opinion, Nick, I think this Texas defense can really force turnovers on this Michigan offense and allow the Texas offense to have short fields to make it easier to score. And even though the game is on the road, I think Texas has the advantage in the trenches, has the advantage on offense and defense, and they're eventually going to wear out the Michigan Wolverines. But this game is going to be won on the trenches. The offensive line needs that push on their defensive line, and then our defensive line needs to penetrate and make it as tough on the Michigan quarterback as possible.
The more I think about this game, it would be a disappointment if we lost this game. Not because Michigan isn't a great program, but this is not the same Michigan team as last year. You talked about J.J. McCarthy. There's no Jim Harbaugh. There's no they lost a lot of weapons on their defense, their offensive line. I mean, there's just a lot of guys. And I truly think – think about the coaching. Sark has the edge in coaching. Quarterback, Quinn, major.
Oh, by far.
I would give the running game Blake Corum. Is Blake Corum?
No, Donovan Edwards.
So Blake Corum's not even there. Donovan Edwards is good back, but I think we have a better running back group, even without C.J. Baxter. I think if this was a neutral site game, if this was in Dallas wouldn't be a neutral site. If this was like in Miami, right? I think we'd be favored by a lot more than we are playing at Ann Arbor. We should have the confidence that we can beat the brakes off this team. I don't mean like kill them, but I just mean control the game.
Mm-hmm.
I think Michigan is smart. I like their coach. I like their team. I do think they're going to make a threat to be in the playoff, but just miss out. But I think that they'll hang around, but we'll pull away. And we should, because we're more, like you just broke it down. We're more talented.
Mm-hmm.
We're more well coached. It's our time. They just won it.
Exactly.
The only advantage they have right now is home field, which is obviously big. But we could take that crowd out by playing well, and I think we will.
I think we would definitely take the crowd out of the game because if we have a fast start, Nick, that's another key. We need to start out fast. Maybe, stop them on the 3 and out if they get the ball and go down and score a touchdown. Really put game pressure on this Michigan offense. Make them one-dimensional. Make their quarterback, Alex Orji, have to throw the ball because he's not a very good thrower of football at all. So I think if we put pressure on this defense, Michigan defense, and then make their offense have to carry them, I think they're going to have one hand tied behind their back, and it's going to be very tough for Michigan to be able to keep up with Texas.
I think a lot of Texas fans are afraid of this game just because it's at Michigan, it's Ann Arbor. They just won the title, but it's not the same team. It's not the same quarterback, not the same running back. Obviously, they're still talented. Michigan will always be talented.
Mm-hmm.
It's like Texas, but it is more poised for our year to do something. And if we're going to make noise this year, you got to take business like you did today against Colorado State, beating them 52-0. And then you got to take care of business against Michigan.
Yep. Bottom line, exactly. Well said, Nick. And that's, I think, a great way to end the show. Thank you so much for watching Touchdown Texas episode 2. Me and Nick had a great time, breaking down the first win, 52-0, a dominant win. And before, we leave, we just wanted to say, follow us on our social media platforms at touchdown_Texas. And Nick, we wanted to say, we'll be there for everybody that's in Atlanta, Texas fans. We're going to be at the Texas Exes Atlanta Chapter watch party at the Red Pepper Taqueria next Saturday, September 7th. Me and Nick are going to be live. So if you're there, come and, join the show, have some, join us post game, give us your thoughts and reactions about the game. If you can't join us, then be sure to, watch the show and come in the comment section. Me and Nick are going to react to your comments. And this is, a show that we're really preaching fan engagement, Nick.
Oh, yeah. This is the first one. I mean, this is episode 2. It's getting more and more real, but week 3 is the real one. I mean, we're going to have fans there.
Yes.
Beyonce is going to be there. My parents are going to be there. It's going to be a lot of fun. I think we're going to give away some stickers at the game. And, you just got to subscribe to the podcast and the YouTube channel and all that stuff. But, man, it's going to be a good time. There now, have some fun and talk Texas football.
Yep, we're looking forward to that. And again, thank you so much, everybody, for watching. And be sure to subscribe to our podcast and follow us on our social media channels. And me and Nick are going to sign off and enjoy the rest of the games. And we'll see y'all next week. Thank you so much. Hook 'em.